All right, everybody, bear with me here as I get this set up and in place. So I'm going to ask you all a question today. In this world of Bidenomics, how far does $350 go in the gun world? Everything else that we're looking at always costing more money and all that. What can you buy for $350? Well, let's move this off. You can buy that and that. Yeah, you probably saw the PSA logo on there. What does $350 buy you today? Well, it buys you a Glock clone based off of a Glock Gen 3 and 10 15-round Pmags and a carrying case. So even under Bidenomics, $350 can go quite a way. So we're going to do a unboxing and review. Oh, and more mags. Oh no, that's a lock. Is that a mag? Yeah, that's a mag. So let's unbox this thing and let's give it a look. This is a new PSA Dagger, and it is in 9mm, as they all are at this point. And comes in a nice case here. So you got, I don't know, a place in there for documents or something. Got a place for the gun, holds several spare mags. Looks like you got 1, 2, 3. There's like all kinds of stuff in here. And then you get a lock if you want to lock it up. Nice little padded case. It's a nice touch. Not bad. I like that they throw that in at this price point. So let's go through the gun itself. Let's see, did I get all the mags? Let's see, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, oops, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, 10 mags to go to my collection. That gives me like, I don't know, 40 Pmags now. I am stocked for Glock mags for the rest of my life. So what is it? Well, the patent expired. You know, there's some things that, you know, as patents expire at some point, then other people are free to start copying them. That applies to weapons. It applies to things like knives. You know, what am I carrying? Well, I got the Spyderco. I thought I had one that had a Benchmade Axis lock. But anyway, Benchmade's Axis lock went and expired. The patent expired on that. And so now anybody can make it. So they'll have to call it something different because the patent, the copyright is still on that name, but other people can copy the design. And that's with Palmetto. There's Zev. There's these guys, Shadow Systems. There's a bunch of companies out there that are making, they were already making maybe parts for Glocks, and now they're making Glock clones. They're making their own version of the Glock. So we'll go through what this is. What do you get for $350? Now you can buy it without all the mags. You can pick them up for $299. Palmetto sells them. Some other retailers do carry them, but you can buy them, and you have to buy them. If you buy them online, they have to be shipped to your FFL. You got to go through all your paperwork, fill out the 4473, just like any other, you know, firearm. But let's go over it. So what is it? Well, it's a Gen 3 clone, which is also what this guy is, the Shadow Systems. They are, however, slightly different. What they've done here is try to keep the cost down. These I got for a steal at a place up in Dahlonega who bought literally, I think he said he bought like $300,000 worth of them. Like he just bought pallets of them, and then was blowing them out for $10 over cost. So you're picking them up for $500. And they've been really nice guns with night sights and fluted barrels and a nice trigger and grip and just really, really nice solid guns. Palmetto, instead of going the way of the Gucci Glock, they wanted to go the way of something more affordable. Glocks start at $500, typically. Yeah, the 43s and stuff are cheaper. But if you want in today's world, if you want a, you know, just a plain old run-of-the-mill Glock 19, you're looking at 500 clams or more, depending on your dealer, if your dealer's still doing that COVID shit and ripping you off. And any gun dealer that charged a lot more during COVID was ripping you off, by the way. The gun prices from the manufacturers didn't go up under COVID. It's just that gun dealers had less guns to sell, so they were trying to maximize profits and charging $750 for a Glock that they paid $440 for. My dealer was selling them for $479 through COVID. So anyway, So what do they do with this one that's different than this? Well, they try to make it affordable, but there are some nice touches and nice upgrades in here. When you buy a regular Glock, you're going to get those Glock plastic sights. Now they work. Nothing wrong with a Glock. It's the utilitarian Tupperware, but they work. But here you actually have steel sights. So you got metal sights, but they attach the same way. They work the same way. So if you want to go get Ameriglos or Trigicons or whatever you want, you can go ahead and swap them out. I tend to just use whatever they came with. And until my eyesight gets to a certain point, as I get older, I'm probably just going to keep using your traditional 3-dot sights. They work. At the ranges that you're likely to shoot a gun in self-defense and just doing normal plinking, this is fine. They do make them with RMR cuts. So if you want to get into optics and things, it's an extra $30. It's cheap. But that's one upgrade over the Glock, is that you have metal sights, not the cheap plastic. Oops. As my hand slips off that, and I slam the freaking camera and throw that off a little bit. Let's try that again. It just came out of the box, so there's oil on it. Add that one to the blooper reel. Let's see, can I get this all straight again? Oh, my shit's crooked. All right, so anyway, I'm leaving that in. Maybe someone will get a laugh out of it, me being a goofball. But yeah, the slide serrations are good, although when you first get them and you unbox it, your hands are going to be oily. Keep that in mind. But again, we're working with unloaded weapons here, so we're good on that. Another upgrade, so we covered the sights. Another upgrade is it does have forward slide serrations. There's some cuts in here just to make it look a little different, feel a little different. I mean, I think it looks kind of premium. I think it looks nice. It's nicely machined. You'll notice similar type machining here on the Shadow systems. They just do a little bit of extra cuts and things just to kind of differentiate themselves. The weight is the same. It's a Glock clone. And then another upgrade, the guide rod. On the Glock, you get the plastic. Here, you've got steel. So there shouldn't be that flex. It should be a little bit more durable. Not that a Glock isn't, but a lot of times people do upgrade those. Another thing you'll notice here is if you notice, the crown of the rifling slightly recessed. That is not flat like even on this one. There, the rifling is right there. Here, to protect it, it's slightly crowned. It's slightly in. So if you were to hit this on concrete or something, you're going to hit this edge out here, this outer edge. Get this to focus. But that crown is recessed about 1 millimeter or 2 in there. So it helps protect that. Nice touch. Don't know why the Gucci Glock, I don't think does that. Maybe it does. It's hard to see in this lighting. Yeah, you know what? This one does. What they did here was they just stopped the rifling. The end is flat, so it didn't look like it at first, but they stopped the rifling and it's beveled out. So it is recessed on that. So good. So I'll amend my statement. This is doing similar to what this is doing. They've achieved it a different way, but same kind of thing. But you've got your metal guide rod. And the other thing here, and the biggest difference, is the ergonomics, the handle. This is going to be a little bit more, although it's based off the Glock Gen 3, the grip is very just kind of straight and blocky, kind of like the Gen 5 or the Gen 1, which isn't a bad feeling. It's nice and smooth. You can just get your finger on there. There's a little bit of a lip that my hand just fits, but this does feel like you're holding a brick. And that's the thing that the Glocks, I've always had with them is they're great guns, especially for the money. $500 for a world-beating, military or police style pistol that is, passes every damn brutal endurance test and torture test with ease. I mean, Glock has kind of been the benchmark for the polymer pistols, although a lot of other companies have gotten damn near just as good, if not as good. But in the ergonomic department, they've always, to me, they've been very hit or miss. I can shoot them, and if it's a self-defense gun, I'm less worried about ergonomics. But for a gun that could be maybe more than that, maybe be the range toy, this feels really good. The contours, the stippling here has grip, but it's not abrasive. This feels a little bit like a cheese grater. The good news is they don't do it all the way around. It's just in smaller panels. Here, it's just a little bit softer. You got some grip because there's more of it, which is nice. When you only have it in a little area, it might not offer that much grip, so they tend to be a bit more aggressive. Here, because it's a much wider area, more of your hand, you have more surface area to contact it, it actually can be a little bit softer and give you overall that same sense of grip. It doesn't have adjustable back straps, I guess, like the the Gen 5 does. And I think this one does. Does this one? I think if you pop that pin out, I think this one does adjust. You know what? I never even played with it. I didn't realize that was adjustable. But that, I mean, is it? Or is that just where the spring? I don't know. I haven't played with that much. This one, this is, my ADD is kicking in. I don't know why. My brain is all over the place. I'm annoying people because I'm going all around. But anyway, the ergonomics on this thing, sorry about that. There's just part of how my brain works, or in this case doesn't work sometimes. This feels very good. The grip angle feels roughly the same as the Shadow systems. I think the grip angle is about the same, but the contours, the rounding here, the way it's up undercut under here, the flares, flared magazine well for easy insertion of your Pmag. What I also like is that you've got this. So if for some reason you had a mag that was slightly bulging, or you had dirt and there was kind of catching, you know, the magazine has a lip, but if this piece went straight across here, you really wouldn't have a way to grip it. Here you have that, you can just rip that thing out. It's great. Any other upgrades? I mean, we got that. We've got the overall ergonomic package. We've got the sights. We got the guide rod. I mean, you're going to take this down, make sure the gun's clear, just like any other Glock. Pull it back, pull it apart. Captive. Very simple. Very nice. These are supposed to be pretty much 100% Glock compatible from what I have read. Now, are there some parts that may or may not fit? Possibly, but I believe it was designed to be. I mean, I've seen people take their, well, you know what? Let's just try this. Let's clear, no ammos. Let's go ahead and pop that off and slide it. Come on. Let's take that off. Will that actually slide on and work? No, something's not fitting on the Shadow systems. Oh. Yeah, I don't know. Would this one slide on that? Huh. So that goes on like nothing. Huh. So what's different about the Shadow Systems one? Because that top goes right onto that. So if I put this one on here, is there something that's just a little taller? It feels like it's actually grabbing there on that, on the guide rod. Yeah, see how it's pushing that? So something on this one is sitting down where it's actually hitting here. It's not going through that hole. But other than that, I mean, that one did go on there. So anyway, again, I'm probably, it's probably going to be one of my worst reviews because I'm just all over the place. But yeah, I mean, these should be interchangeable. I know people that liked the ergonomics of this, and so they were just buying the complete lowers, you know, for, you know, 99 bucks when they're on sale at Palmetto. And then they're basically just putting their Glock 19 upper on this. And that way they still have mostly the Glock parts and stuff like that, but you can put your Glock, your aftermarket triggers in here, and you get this really nice ergonomic package. That's the biggest thing most people complain about when they complain about a Glock, is just they don't like the ergonomics. The handles just feel kind of They work real well. Let's compare the trigger. People are like, oh, it's a little bit mushy. I don't know. I mean, it's a little less crisp than the Shadow systems. That's got a nice reset. Fairly crisp. So if that's, let's just say on a scale of 1 to 10, let's just say that's the benchmark in this comparison. That has a longer reset. There's a little bit of creep in that. It's not bad though. If that's a 10, this is a 7.5 or an 8. It's not a bad trigger. To me, it feels as good as a normal Gen 3 Glock trigger. It's actually a little bit wider, which is nice. It's a little bit more contoured. It's a more comfortable trigger even than the flat face on this one. We're going to get this to the range. We're going to go to the range again next week. I'll take this, now that I got the lever action rifles, which that's uploading right now, and my Shield Plus video is uploading right now. That'll be up later this afternoon. I'll take a lunch break next week. I'm going to take this to the range, and I'm going to shoot this alongside my new Ruger Super Wrangler. And I'll bring 22 and 22 mag for that. We'll do a little review of those. But, I mean, it feels great. This is in the Sniper Green. I bought this, it was a brand new pistol, but I bought it from a private seller near my house. So I was able to bop out at lunchtime and go meet him. And, you know, he charged me what he paid for it, which was $350. And they are a little bit cheaper. Like I said, you can pick them up for $2.99 from Palmetto, but then you got to pay tax, and it has to be shipped to your FFL, unless you live in South Carolina, in which case they're your FFL. But if you're ordering it, then it's got to be, in most places are going to charge you like $30 to do the paperwork and background check and all that. So by the time you're done, you're looking at around $350-ish anyway. I found one brand new that had never been fired, private sale, that came with 10 mags and the case for $350. So rather than order it, I just went that route. But I gotta say, I really like it. It doesn't feel cheap. I mean, that's the biggest thing, I guess, to take away from this is a lot of times you hear like, oh, it's a Glock clone, or there's this clones, and a lot of times, you know, the clones are cheap. They're putting out something that's inferior, but they're trying to tack on to the name to, you know, and they're hoping that, well, it's just as good as a Glock, or it's like a Glock but cheaper. I have to get to the range and shoot it, but you know, there's been a couple hiccups on these things, like anything when they're new. Shit, I had a hiccup on a Glock 36. When I first bought my first Glock 36, which was the first single stack that they made in 45 ACP. That first gen had some teething problems. A lot of us owners had problems with failures to extract and failures to feed and stovepiping. Didn't matter what kind of ammo, you could hand it to 5 different people, including a cop and another guy who was a Glock armorer. And he's like, oh, you're probably lip rusting or doing that. Okay, here, you shoot it. And he had the same exact problem. Every magazine would have at least 1 or 2. It was only a 7-round mag. Failure to extract or failure to feed. And when I took it to Glock over in Smyrna, Georgia, and I walked in and I said, hey, I got a pistol I need you to look at under warranty. And they're like, what's the problem? And I told them. I didn't even tell him that it was a Glock 36. He knew from the description what the problem was. He's like, all right, we'll get your Glock 36 back there. And I'm like, I didn't say it was a Glock 36. Which tells me you've seen this problem before. And he just kind of smiled. But, you know, it happens to everybody. But for the most part, these seem to run really well. You know, it's not a Kel-Tec. Palmetto they make a lot of stuff. I mean, and they make AKs, they make ARs. Now they got the new Jackal. And like anything, there could be that teething problem, but I don't know. I mean, it's a proven design. That's the thing. It's not like they had to figure something out. Once that patent expired, they could go over with a laser scanner and, you know, get down to thousandths of an inch and scan what a Glock is, and then just start machining their own copy. So long as they're making, you know, the tolerances are tight and they're accurate, you're injection molding plastic, you're doing these other things, you're CNC machining. You're not having a new design of your own that has to go through as much testing. You're taking a known variable and you're just basically copying it, but then you're changing some cosmetic attributes around it. The outslide, how you cut the slide, where you put the bevel. Well, that doesn't change how it functions. Same thing here. You're changing your interface, going from a rectangular brick to something a little more ergonomic, but that doesn't change how it fires. So last thing we'll do is, does it fit in my Glock 19 holsters? All right, that's one for a Glock 19. This is a SciTac. Yeah, that works. And then I've got one over here that I bought for my Shadow Systems. Does this fit in that? Not as well. It fits, but it's not quite snapping in. I think it's because the trigger guard is slightly different dimensions. So that's going to be, I think, what is an issue going to be with, if you have one with a Glock clone, is here, the Shadow Systems doesn't quite fit into here because these sights are too high and they're digging into the top of the channel. So it really depends on the gun. It seems like that works just fine. doesn't rattle, doesn't stick. That actually works real well, so that's nice. I can use that. I'll steal that back from my wife. It's for her Glock 19, her airsoft. And then this, you know, does click into that. So that's the only downside, is that sometimes when you get into the Gucci Glocks or the Glock equivalents, is that bevel might be a little bit, the sight might be a little taller. There might be something that's just a little differently here. And on leather, it's going to be a little bit more forgiving, because it would have to be off by like several millimeters for it to, the leather to not stretch and kind of, you know, work around it. But when you have hard plastic or Kydex or carbon fiber that's hard molded, it either fits or it doesn't. In this case, this one fits here, doesn't quite fit that. This one fits this one, but not that. Whereas, you know, a Glock 19 would probably fit everything. So that's the big deal. You know, that's the biggest difference there, is your holster selection might be a bit more limited. But for $299 or $350, if you get the whole package with all the mags, it's hard to go wrong. I mean, the mags are $10 a piece, so that's 10 times 10. Well, that's $100 worth of mags right there, and to come with a really nice carry pouch and the gun itself. And you can swap out Glock parts if you want to put your Zev trigger or Ghost trigger or whatever the things are, whatever the kids are using these days. I mean, you can do all that. So, all right, this went a little long. Sorry about that. My ADD today. I have good days and bad days, and today's obviously a bad day. But that is the new PSA Dagger. I mean, new. It's been out for like a year or so. It's new to me. I finally got around to getting one. I've been thinking about it, been on the fence for a while, and I was like, you know what? Just screw it. It's got a little Picatinny rail. The trigger on it is more than acceptable. To me, it feels like a Glock trigger. I don't even notice a difference. So, anywho, there's your Dagger unboxing. I will get it to the range hopefully next week, and we'll do that and the Ruger Super Wrangler. So everybody take care.